Hello, I'm David Oliver, and I'm the president of the board of directors for the Neighborhood Coalition for Shelter. I had very much hoped to deliver a warm welcome in person tonight, but like NCS, I've had to adapt and change in quarantine. So please accept my warm welcome and thanks from afar. I would very much like to be with so many old and new friends of NCS tonight. Tonight's event marks NCS's 40th anniversary, and so a key theme of the evening is to honor some of the founders of NCS who have made these 40 years possible. In the early 1980s, a growing number of men and women were sleeping on the steps of churches and synagogues on the Upper East Side, leading Reverend Hayes Rockwell, then rector of St. James Church, to organize weekly meetings with members of neighborhood faith-based organizations to try to figure out solutions to the problem. While community engagement to support homeless people in Manhattan has come a long way since that time, in the early 1980s, it met with a lot of resistance. Fortunately, Reverend Rockwell persisted. And NCS was born out of Reverend Rockwell's coalition. It started as a community service organization serving the needs of the neighborhood, providing primarily free meal programs, but it rapidly evolved as the early founders recognized the growing need for additional services. NCS eventually offered a community drop-in center on East 77th Street, a single-room occupancy home for 65 residents on East 81st Street, a home in the Bronx for youth aging out of foster care, plus vocational training, transitional housing, and an outpatient substance use treatment program. So just extraordinary work over 40 years. Now, there are many people who have made NCS's work possible, including all of you here tonight. So thank you very much for your support. Really appreciate it. But I'd like tonight to single out two people who I think are very special this evening. And the first person I'd like to mention served as the NCS's first board president. Ann Davidson is a longtime member of the St. James community and one of the early participants in Reverend Rockwell's grassroots coalition. Like Rockwell, Ann envisioned a way forward in supporting our community that involved taking personal responsibility for neighbors who experience chronic homelessness. This view was not without risk, even physical risk. When NCS opened its drop-in center, protesters physically accosted Ann as she quietly swept the steps of the new drop-in center building. But Ann calmly persisted, even as one protester jabbed her with a stick. Imagine that courage, but that's exactly the kind of behavior that's needed to be a leader of a revolution, which I think Ann has been for the past 40 years as an influential board member at NCS. The second person I'd like to recognize is also a founding member of NCS's board of directors and a former senior warden of St. James Vestry. As partner at Debevoise and Plimpton for a half century, Dick Dunham is considered the preeminent insurance law expert in the United States, the dean of insurance law. Dick's ability to analyze complex problems and see solutions that others may not have even considered has made him so valuable to NCS and to all the boards in which he serves. Dick told me recently that he's considering applying to business schools to get an MBA to improve his ability to help the nonprofit organizations he serves. His beloved Harvard is too far away, so he's looking closer to home. And I don't know which lucky school it will be, but one may soon be welcoming Dick Dunham as a student, and I'd certainly love to be in one of those classes. Please join me tonight in recognizing both Ann and Dick. I'd also like to recognize several people who are no longer with us. Josie McFadden was also a founding member of the NCS Board of Directors, and her extraordinary generosity continues to support NCS. We also miss Alice Greif and Barbara Chalky, both longtime board members who passed away this past year, and whose spirit of support for community engagement lives on in NCS today. Finally, I'm delighted to introduce our guest of honor, whose commitment to a life of service represents the principles of our Founders Award. Our honoree has served for the past 25 years as rector of St. James Church. She is widely recognized for her vision, innovation, and leadership as a member of the clergy and is a recipient of the prestigious Bishop's Cross. But what really defines our honoree, in my view, is the way she's carried out her ministry. Whether in traveling to Sing Sing with children of incarcerated mothers, or showing up each Tuesday over 25 years at St. James's lunch program, or delivering countless sermons on Sunday and mingling with her congregation, our honoree recognized the importance of each individual. And as she recently told me, taking the time to hand a dollar bill to a person on the street, looking at him or her in the eye, and recognizing the person as a human being rather than as a problem, not only elevates that person, but that connection, that human connection, also changes us. And I think this is the essence of what NCS aspires to do. Please join me in honoring Reverend Brenda Husson.